What's up, guys? Welcome to the Saturday show. Of course, on Saturdays, I like to go back through the week of Newswave and kind of take a look at what everyone had to say down in the comments. It's a lot of fun to see what you guys think about the different things we talk about, and it's a lot of fun to kind of respond and kind of talk to you guys about all these different things. First, though, we are going to start with a little bit of news. Do you guys remember how before we had the, the motorcycle part of Labo, where you had that, the bike part, you can kind of race around. They made that compatible with Mario Kart. It was neat. It was something kind of cool to throw in there and say, hey, you already have Labo, do you have Mario Kart? Now they work together. Well, it looks like they're going a step further in a tweet that you're seeing here. And the vehicle kit from Labo, the one that's coming out, that's a bit more intricate. It has like the steering wheel and the pedal and everything, even I believe like the shifters and everything. It's actually going to be compatible with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and I think that's going to be like day one, basically, when that's out and everything. It'll just work, like able to play with it. But what was weird to me is I was kind of looking at it, and it looks like the pedal in the video they showed is how you jump into like a power slide, and then you let go and you shoot off. So I was thinking that pedal would be used for acceleration, of course. It doesn't look like it because I guess they don't really have it designed to use, I guess, kind of like analog triggers, so it doesn't really have that travel. So you'd basically be holding that down the whole time. I guess they didn't want to just make you have to hold your foot down the whole time, so you use it, looks like, to kind of jump. The steering wheel, though, works fine, it looks like, and everything, so that's kind of cool. It's just another extra thing. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? If you have a Labo kit that puts together, so you have a vehicle, yeah, throw it with Mario Kart. We keep hearing how other developers were kind of looking at Labo, trying to figure out things they could do. I'm really waiting for some of these third parties to see if they actually want to jump in the Labo. Like we heard about developers who are looking at like the piano and everything for rhythm games. I'm going to be curious if we get any third parties jumping in, as Nintendo is starting to kind of put some of their IPs like Mario Kart next to it, just as functionality. And with that out of the way, guys, let's jump into Monday, where we talked about rumors that were sweeping the internet regarding a possible Nintendo Switch revision in 2019. The tweet that sparked this conversation came from Marcus Sellers, who mentioned that a new Switch could show up in early 2019. 723 says, I recently bought a Switch. I'll be pretty upset if they release a beefed up Switch. Makes my purchase seem useless, but if they came out with a revision and dropped the price of the normal Switch, they could sell a lot more consoles. So the interesting thing about this, I keep hearing people say drop the price of the Switch as it is now, and the more I look at it, I don't know how easy that would be to do, and I think a lot of it has to do with the Joy-Con controllers. I do think those Joy-Con controllers are kind of pricey for the technology that's in them, and of course, they come with the Switch. I think the Switch base unit itself is not super expensive. It's the Joy-Con controllers, I think, that would give them a hard time dropping that price. If you guys remember, at one point I talked a bit about what if they could release just that unit, just that base tablet portion of the Switch without the Joy-Con controllers, since if you're looking for a second Switch, you might already have like several pairs of Joy-Con controllers. That would be a great way, I think, to get the cheapest possible Switch out there. It could even be for people who need a replacement one, right? That would be the cheapest possible way. If they could release that even on their store, like online, that would be cool. I don't know how they're going to do it without those Joy-Con. Even if a new Switch came out, it would just probably be more expensive. I don't think it would come out at $300 and then this one would drop to like $250 or something. It just wouldn't. I don't think they're able to do that. Instead, they would probably go for a $350 to $400 price. And at that point, would it be worth it to a lot of people? No, it'd probably be for a niche market. I mean, the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X sell less than their PS4 and Xbox One counterparts. The big thing is, though, you mentioned that you'd feel like your purchase was useless. But I feel like if the games worked across all systems, I think they would be okay doing it. Yeah, some people would be annoyed if they bought it the week before the announcement, which I have a feeling happened to some Xbox One S people, although they gave people like a year and a half with the Scorpio build-up, right, to the Xbox One X. They gave plenty of time. It's more so if Nintendo announces it and then it comes out next month, right? That would be kind of tough. Zach B says, I don't doubt a Switch revision, but are those specs really plausible? That would be a very expensive handheld. Also consider that every early console revision did not affect the console's power. For example, DS Lite, GBA SP, 3DS XL, These were surface-level revisions refining the hardware and its shape or displays. These did not change the internal specs. So I see what you're saying there with the different systems not technically being more powerful. I feel like the 3DS XL had, I think, more RAM. I'd have to double check that, but basically what you're saying is right. It wasn't until the new 3DS XL came out that there were games that could not play on the older one, that you specifically needed the new 3DS XL or new 2DS XL at this point to play those games. You're saying there are more refinements, and that could be the case here. The only issue at that point was these handhelds were not competing essentially against like home consoles, whereas the Switch is an interesting situation. It's a handheld, but it's also a home console. It's a hybrid system, so I think they would have to figure out, do we have to compete with the home consoles? And some people, they want it to because it's their home console. Some people, the Switch never leaves their dock. That is the key difference here for the different things you named. The DS Lite, the Game Boy Advance and Game Boy Advance SP, they competed against handhelds. The Switch, while a handheld, is weird. It is. It's a weird situation. That's why the Switch, I think, is so interesting to a lot of people, and maybe even polarizing in some communities, because is it a handheld? Is it a home console? I guess it's whatever you want it to be, but at the end of the day, who are you competing against? Are you competing against handhelds and there's like no one left because the Vita pretty much bowed out and it's you against cell phones? Or do you want to compete against the PS4, eventually the PS5, the Xbox One, Xbox 2? I know Nintendo wants to do their own thing, but eventually, you have to look at it and say, yeah, maybe we do have to keep up with the times here, and maybe we do got to release a system that's more powerful for people who want that extra power as an option. Not necessarily the only way, as in the games have to work across, just an option, I guess, for the power user or somebody who wants that 4K experience, or just a 1080p experience with good frame rate for something like a Zelda or something. Tuesday went over Hat in Time being announced for the Switch, despite the developers on Twitter saying it would never show up on the system. We also talked about Amazon ending their 20% discount on video game pre-orders. Stupid Mario Bros. 1 fan says, was hoping you'd point out that A Hat in Time runs on Unreal Engine 3, which doesn't natively run on the Switch because, yes, Unreal Engine 4 is that different to not simply port the game over to the new engine. That's the reason that they said the game would never be on the Switch, because they would have to get Unreal Engine 3 ported as well. They got tired of explaining this and simply just made a "no, it's never happening" tweet, which is the one that got covered by everyone. A Hat in Time being ported means that they must have gotten help from Nintendo. Wish they would have explained that in the trailer. The thing about explaining that is it would probably just whoosh right over most people's heads. They're like, what Unreal Engine 3? For the most part, not everyone, but there are people who are like, I don't care about engines, I just play the game. You're absolutely right though. It's done on Unreal Engine 3, and I think when something like Rocket League made the jump, it showed that it was possible for Unreal Engine 3 to run on the Switch, something that it does not natively support. So they probably looked at that and said, okay, it's possible. We'll look into it. We'll see how it goes. Then here's the Switch building up massive steam for the indie crowd. They're selling indie games all over the place, and they probably sat down and said, you know what? It's going to cost some money to convert this over so it works on the Switch that doesn't natively support Unreal Engine 3, but everything's selling really well on there from an indie developer perspective, even obviously bigger games too, but from an indie developer perspective, it makes a lot of sense. Things are moving. We're going to be able to get our money back. So let's spend the time developing this. Let's announce it at Gamescom, and we'll be off and running later this year with that game. The issue was people were bugging them constantly. If they just talked about their game on Twitter, people would respond below that, Switch version, Switch version, Switch. That was when it was really crazy online for people asking for everything to be on the Switch. It's not like that really as much anymore, I don't think. But it was getting to the point where I don't think they put an update out without being bugged about it. So they were just like, you know what? Never. No, don't ask us anymore. Never. And here they are now. So did it come back to bite them? Yes. But I guess they deleted that tweet. Maybe they're hoping no one remembers. And they're going to release it anyway. It's a good game. It's a fun game. And I do think it's worth picking up to check out. So I wouldn't let that stop you from buying the game, because it is a worthwhile experience to have if you enjoy kind of the old school platformers like a Banjo-Kazooie, or if it's maybe what you're hoping to get from Yooka-Laylee, you'd probably enjoy Hat in Time. Wednesday, we went over a ton of release dates that were shown at Gamescom. Games like Devil May Cry 5, Luigi's Mansion, and even Shenmue 3 all received release dates at the Gaming Expo. The beginning of 2019 is starting to really fill out with tons of games, and we're still waiting to hear what Nintendo has as well. Gunslinger says, if they can show Shenmue 3, where is Final Fantasy VII Remake? Well, at this point, because it's Square, I don't think they know half the time what's going on internally anyway, but they're waiting for Kingdom Hearts. Once Kingdom Hearts releases, and we're through that, they're going to have to shift focus to the next big thing, even outside Dragon Quest XI, which of course 11 is still coming to the Switch at some point, but they'll be through that. They'll be through Kingdom Hearts, which I think Kingdom Hearts is a game that they just want to get out the door. Final Fantasy VII Remake retreated heavily into development with all the issues we heard going down, and they had to bring in internal and everything. It was a mess, it sounded like. And I don't even know if this game's going to still look the same as what we saw previously. It could look way different when it actually releases and shows up. Maybe at next year's E3, I don't know. And we don't even know if it's still going to be a Sony first game at this point. They might say, yeah, put it on whatever. Let's get it on PC. Let's get it on anything. So we'll see what happens there, but that's the biggest thing. We're not going to see Final Fantasy VII Remake until next E3. And if we don't see it at next E3, I'm telling you now, it is a PS5 game, and you're going to have to wait for a little while longer. After hearing about the development and some of the stuff that leaked out, I really don't know if it's coming this generation, but hey, we'll see. Thursday saw the release of the NPD placings for July, showing both the Switch and Octopath Traveler topping the charts, showing that JRPGs in the US have some big selling power if you do it right. We also went over the situation with Battlefield 5 lagging behind Call of Duty in pre-orders by a significant amount. Mr. Hatz says, EA told consumers, if you don't like the direction we are taking Battlefield 5, then don't buy the game. Consumers, cool, we won't buy your game then. EA, wait. We need the gamers now. That's what you get for being a stupid company again. Yeah, the biggest thing here is a lot of people didn't like EA in the first place, and the way they talked to their consumers and the people who enjoyed Battlefield. Yeah, at that point they weren't having it. People already backlashed against EA with Star Wars, so that's still, I think, fresh in their memory because, there was DICE and everything, and that was bad. It was really bad. I got to the point where Disney had to allegedly step in and slap them sideways before they actually went forward with damaging that gameplay that bad with loot boxes. It got to that point. And I think gamers still remember that. And then when they hear EA kind of talk to them like that, where they say, you're dumb, you don't know what you're talking about kind of thing. It's a weird way for a company that's trying to sell, 10 million at least of this game when it comes out to say those kind of things. Activision is releasing less of a game, technically, right? They're not giving you a campaign. I guess they're giving you like a Battle Royale mode, but Battlefield could still technically do that. But they're not giving you a campaign. Battlefield is, apparently, so we're getting more of a game with Battlefield, but because Activision has just been quiet and just let EA bury themselves, their game looks better to a lot of people, and that's why it's selling better. That's really what it comes down to, is the relationship between the consumer and the company trying to sell it to them. It's not good between EA, and they keep making it worse. John Kotowich says, come on, Reggie, give us Mother 3. All right, listen, I know we talk about Mother 3 all the time, right? But Octopath Traveler just showed us that a Japanese RPG, one that is even more of a JRPG than Mother 3, I'm going to tell you that now, because Mother 3 is just, it's a wacky game at times, it's weird, but Octopath Traveler is even more traditional than a game that released back in the days of the Game Boy Advance, like Mother 3. So if any game just showed Nintendo that you could make a lot of money in the US even with a JRPG like a Mother 3, Octopath Traveler might have made them go, okay, you know what? We know we can make money with this, more so than ever right now. Put it on the Switch, right? You're going to get boatloads of money. I'm going to tell you now, the way people freaked out about Shenmue when that was coming out, people would freak out 10 times more for Mother 3. There are people who probably buy 5 copies of this thing if you do it. So I don't know what the deal is there. I know that there is some issues, I guess, with their image and stuff, with some of the stuff that the game deals with, but still, they could probably regionalize it, they could probably localize it and fix some of that stuff, but Mother 3, it's time, man. The table is set, the money is there, it's time to release it, and how funny would it be if they put out a physical copy of Mother 3 and that topped the MPD charts that month. That would be absolutely hilarious. Finally, on Friday, we went over the announcement that Nintendo will be having an Indie Direct next week on the 28th. We just had a Direct that landed for Gamescom. However, Nintendo is promising unannounced games to be brought up here, and with Nintendo shining a bigger light on this Direct than the one randomly released at Gamescom, it certainly makes us wonder what could be shown. Kyle says, I understand why Nintendo keeps pushing the app. While the system has a headphone jack, can you imagine using wired headphones, chatting with friends in docked mode? Sure, it's possible with a long enough cable or a small enough setup, but neither the Joy-Cons nor the Pro Controller have headphone jacks like the Xbox One and PS4 controllers do. It's annoying, but it's the least annoying option for people who primarily play docked and don't want to spend more money on a USB headset or a Bluetooth receiver. Okay, so here's what I think Nintendo could do with this. I've thought about this a lot. I always look at my Pro Controller for the USB-C port on the top. I don't know how they would do it, the Joy-Con controllers. Maybe it can attach to the railing or something. I don't know what kind of communication that has. But at least for the Pro Controller, release a piece that sits on top. Maybe it's a pass-through so you can still charge it or something, and it has a headphone jack on it. Right, it plugs in the top where the USB-C port is on the Pro Controller. Maybe it slides into the rail as like a little extra thing on the side, kind of like the grips that we have, right, that let you hit the buttons. But it has a headphone jack on it, and that way you can just plug it in there, and the controller deals with everything else to send information back and forth when it comes to voice chat. The original Xbox had something like that. Sure, that was wired. You could still get wireless ones from what I remember. Although I think you might have had to run that too. Either way, technology is much better now than it was back in 2001, 2002. Although Nintendo is trying to push that thought with their voice chat right now. But the original Xbox had something like that. You plugged it into the controller, your headphone jack went into, or your headphone went into the headphone jack that it gave you then, and then that would give you voice chat through the controller. I feel like that's something Nintendo could do, and I kind of wonder if that's something that they've thought of, or if another third party has thought of that as well to make that work. And guys, that's going to do it for the Saturday show. Thank you so much for stopping by. Make sure you guys hit the like button if you liked the video, dislike it if not. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it is the Nindies Direct. I'm really curious what you think is going to pop up there. Really, that's the big thing, because that's coming up on the 28th. What indie game do you guys think is going to pop up there? Let me know down below, definitely, or release dates or anything. Yeah, I want that Shakedown Hawaii, and I want it dropped that day. That would be awesome. Also, guys, we're cruising towards 140,000 subscribers for that Monster Hunter giveaway, so if you're new here, consider subscribing and get entered at the link below. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.